Welcome to the Joe Monroe Show. Now, here's your host, Joe Monroe.
Hello, pro wrestling friends, family, and you crazy professional wrestling fans. How are you doing tonight? It is I, Joe Monroe. Yes, I know you're probably used to seeing me every freaking nights because last April we did the Podcasters Appreciation Month. Now we're going to kind of start a new series. We're going to start the Pro Wrestler series. Now this will go on for as long as I want it to because, well, I got a lot of friends in the business. But before we introduce our first guest for the series, let's go ahead and shout out some sponsors. First and foremost, we want to shout out Phenomenal Funds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, whether it be professional wrestling, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Simpsons, all the above, check out phenomenalfindsatl.com, as well as our partners and sponsors, Triple Crown Wrestling and Ultimate Championship Wrestling, as they are bringing back the sport of professional wrestling back to the state of Kentucky as it should be, as well as our partners and sponsors, Mayhem Media. Mayhem Media, we have just recently joined them. All series like this will be under the Mayhem Media banner. So go ahead and check them out. Go like and follow the page. As well as Les Murphy Painting. If you're having any trouble with any painting needs, be sure to contact Les Murphy at 734-334-3702. Now, my first guest, we have him from all the way across the pond from the UK, someone that absolutely hates my guts, but / loves me at sometimes. I guess it's because I'm Irish and he's English. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Conner Clarkson. Conner, welcome to the show, buddy.
Good morning.
Oh, sorry. It is morning there. It is night here. I got to keep remembering that.
But yeah, you do like to pick your times. 2:30 a.m.
Well, dude, I'm so excited. You're a freak of nature. You get up around this time and start getting ready to go to the gym. So
This
I don't
is
want to hear it.
true.
I don't want to hear it, bro. All right, man. So first and foremost, what tell the folks a little bit about yourself, because you're new to the show and you are now getting into a little bit of an international audience here. Go ahead and tell the people here about yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the one and only Conner Clarkson. And for those of you that don't know, I have cerebral palsy, but I still get in the ring and I still train and I still, as Joe pointed out, like to go to the gym at 2 a.m. because I'm psycho and I don't sleep. That's pretty much the intro.
Yep, I was fixing to say this man never sleeps. Literally takes the no days off scenario to heart. But with that being said, since people know you just a tad bit, what in the world got you into this crazy sport of professional wrestling?
This is, it was basically down to the power of social media. So I was literally scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw it advertised like 4 or 5 years ago. So I was like, I'll check it out, see if it works. And then, funnily enough, I've never looked back.
All right, and when did you start training for wrestling?
I believe it was around September 2019, something around there.
So you came in literally right before COVID struck.
Yeah, it wasn't the best time to start, but here's the thing. We started, we still managed to cover the basics, and then COVID struck, and then we just worked on like more the psychological side of it, because then we just did online meetings and started doing like character work, psychological work, reviewing just like matches from like the 90s and the 80s, and like just breaking down that match structure and just working a hell of a lot more on the psychology side of it, so that when we did actually get back into the ring, we still have somewhat of an understanding of what we're doing.
No, that's a great way to do it. Now, who was your trainers at this time?
At the minute, my only trainer is myself because I've only just come back from a shoulder injury. So,
but when you got started,
when I originally got started back in 2019, early 2020, it was Falling Star Wrestling. And then COVID happened. I was still with them. I had my first in-ring appearance back in, I want to say December 2021. And it was literally just a Christmas Royal Rumble. And then I had my first tag team match when basically I got injured the night before. So we changed everything and I got used as a battering ram, pretty much. I got tagged in, they picked me up, my feet hit a few people, my head hit a few people. Next thing you know, I'm getting picked up and dropped for a splash. And that was the match. That was my involvement in the match. And then since then, it's literally just been like Royal Rumbles and just those sorts of spots.
right. And you mentioned earlier about your cerebral palsy, which in technical terms, and I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is spastic dipalgia of cerebral palsy. Did I say that
that's
right?
close enough. That's close enough. The it's spastic diplegia of cerebral palsy. So basically, every case is fucking different. This is the thing. Every case is different. You're not going to get two cases exactly the same. But what it does, it limits the strength of the muscles, especially like the hip and the hamstrings and the ankle, and makes them weaker. So you walk with a bend in your leg. And most people have described when I walk, I've got more bounce than Zebedee. But true story. I've had friends take me out for
That's the
dinner. We
first time you
walked into
told
the
me that.
restaurant and was like, could you not bounce for once in your life? And then obviously because I've got the wrestling background, they've decided to call me Springboard as well. So
But man, you know, I see you show me videos of you training, and you know, I'm impressed. Which if people go follow on your page, those videos are on there. Like I was impressed. I was like, man, how the heck is he doing that? And you're like, well, this is how I do it. And he was showing me and a few
exactly.
others, and I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. But do you think it's? No, I shouldn't say think. How do you get over? Because a lot of people will see that kind of as a bump in the road when it comes to athleticism. What in the world does your mindset go into with this, but still get over with the crowd and be able to hold a wrestling match?
I mean, that's interesting because every time, like when I'm at the gym, I will literally just shut everything out and go into that mode where I do not give a flying F about anyone around me. And I will literally just be headphones in, train, done, go to sleep, eat a McDonald's, and then do it all again in a few hours. Yeah, anyone that knows me loves a McDonald's. They will always know that the after gym meal or just any meal after any sort of workout is a McDonald's.
Or before, given if you're feeling froggy that morning.
Yeah, sometimes before and after. You never know. It depends how I feel after the workout. But
right.
no, like even if I haven't got access to the music, obviously when I'm in the ring, because you can't train with headphones on in the ring for obvious reasons, because you can't hear what people are saying to you. But I will literally just go into that space where I will shut off and just think, you know what? This is my fucking moment. I'm doing it how I want. I'm shutting off and I'm just getting in that zone.
Right. So what were some of your inspirations getting into the business? Like who did you kind of idolize growing up?
See, I was born in 2004, so I only got to watch the replays of this man. But Eddie Guerrero was definitely someone that I looked up to, especially the way that he did the lice, cheat, and steal gimmick, because I feel like I can use that as part of my disability and fake an injury. It works. You've got to use your disadvantage as an advantage, and that definitely works. And then when I was younger, I watched a lot of the younger version of Randy Orton. So like when Evolution was still a thing, and then literally before he transferred from Evolution, did the couple of years solo, and then got paired with Legacy. So, who else did I watch growing up? Ric Flair. I was watching his retirement match a couple of days ago. Well, one of his many retirement matches, because we all know he's going to have a retirement match, but it's never actually going to be a retirement match. It's like, yep, I'm going to retire for 2 months and come back, because that's Ric Flair. But no, definitely those main people I was watching growing up before I did actually step into the squared circle.
All right, and Mayhem Media, of course, the president of Mayhem, founder JD, is absolutely turned the disadvantages into an advantage. So there we go. Now, let's turn away from wrestling for just a bit. How in the heck did you get in touch and became, let me pronounce it in your way, HR of Mayhem Media? I give you hell over that, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You always do. You always do. But I'm not even going to comment about the Irish tonight. I'm going to behave. I'm not going to comment about the Irish for once. We'll save that until I'm on a group call with you later. Oh, or at least until I get someone involved.
Yeah, nobody else better be involved. But yeah, well, go ahead. So, in other words, how did you get involved with Mayhem Media?
So I was doing some work with Friends of the Squared Circle, Crander Q. And
Shout out Friends of the Squared. Shout out to Crander Q, who has second place spirit in podcasting. Sorry, I got to mention that.
I mean, I can't comment. My beard is slightly invisible
patchy.
At this point.
It's patchy, but nonetheless,
I had it shaved. It's not my problem. Parts grow back quicker than others. That is not my problem. So yeah, I did a couple of interviews with Friends of the Squared Circle, and then he literally sent me a message saying, by the way, I've passed on your details to Mayhem Media. And then since then, me and JD have been speaking for probably 6-7 months, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, boss. You'll probably put a comment saying, no, it was 6.5 months, not 7. And then, yeah. So then we did a couple of interviews, and then we moved it forward where we were starting to do like more series in that. Check out Into the Barricades debut episode that should be on my page somewhere. And then since then, he was like, I'm going to promote you to head of HR because you're British and you know how to talk to people with complaints. So, yeah, that is.
Yes,
literally.
Yeah. So speaking of Into the Barricade, I was actually featured on that first episode. Thank you again for you guys for having me. Let me go ahead and pull that up here. Into the Barricade. It's with the Last Outlaw, Saul Good, Hard Paws, Conner Clarkson. We'll get into that nickname here in a minute, and our good friend Frankie Corleone. So what started the Into the Barricade? What came up? What was the idea for that?
See, I can't really comment on that much because it was
from your side, from your perspective.
So from my perspective, we was going to do it as every 2 weeks we sit down on StreamYard and record, or wherever we want to record it or go live, and basically just review like the couple of weeks in wrestling, so WWE, AEWs, and everything like that. Sorry, Joe, am I boring you?
At least you're not. I will say this to the viewers: at least you're not combing your hair for the 15th time today. Inside joke, folks. He knows. There he goes. There he goes. The guy combs his hair more than the 1950s greaser from Greece or something. I don't know. I got to pick on you. Sorry, I got to pick on that for a little bit, buddy. But
yes.
But anyways, so your involvement with Into the Barricade came up how through JD?
Yeah. So basically, I believe I don't know who actually sent the first message, but it was between Saul and JD that they were talking about doing a new series. And then that's when JD brings me into it, and then brings Frankie into it. And then we had you on as our first guest, even though you ripped the piss out of me for about an hour and a half.
You're welcome. It's an Irish thing.
Yes. By the way, comment if this motherfucker looks like the child of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Because just look at him. Look at the face and then look at the beard.
I'm going to kill you, Connor. Anyways, yes, Saul Good, Frankie Corleone getting shout outs. Yep, that is true. They always get everybody who works for Mayhem Media gets shout outs all the time. What are you talking about, boss? That's how we're supposed to do.
Exactly. So,
go ahead with your story though.
No, go on, finish what you were saying.
No. I was saying go ahead and continue with your story.
So yeah. So the idea was we do like every 2 weeks or even into the future, move it to every week. Because there's so much within the wrestling business, especially with the major companies. You've got WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan. I could go on for at least an hour just naming wrestling companies. And yeah, so we was going to do reviews for that. But I think the first episode didn't quite go as a review. It was more like a rib for Conner Clarkson because of that one there.
I didn't do anything. Saul started it. I
don't care who started it.
Okay, oh fine. You know what? Here, it's my show.
The head of HR puts his wheel down on this.
You know, I'll say this. I will publicly apologize to you if it makes you feel just a little bit better.
Thank you. It doesn't.
Well, I try. Yes, you do. You definitely have a great team, especially with. I'm kidding, Connor. Connor's a good guy. He does work his butt off. Speaking of which, yes, that is true. Behind the scenes, Connor does work his butt off just as much as JD does, while the rest of us sit in paradise and glory and all that stuff. But no, I'm kidding. It's a team effort, y'all. It's a team effort. But so, what's some of your most memorable moments in the professional wrestling world as of all time? Do you want to tell the story about the Staples?
Oh,
that story. Do you want you? It's my show. If you feel comfortable talking about it, you can.
Oh, what? The story that happened the night before I was meant to go out and wrestle that tag team match?
Yes, that story and what happened.
So,
so we're peeling back the curtain just a little bit. Fair warning for those who were sensitive about that. But go ahead, Connor.
Graphic warning, I won't show any photos because I don't think I own them anymore. So basically, I was in the bar one night. This is the night before a show. I wasn't drinking much, but yeah. So unfortunately, got into a little bit of an argument because someone tried messing around with my mobility chair. Next thing you know, I get pushed back, and my head hits the side of the fireplace, and I just get up thinking nothing's happened. And then next thing you know, I've got blood coming down the back of my neck and onto my shirt. So I'm like, shit, here we go. This is now turned real. So after a grueling, I believe it was like 6-7 hours in A&E, which for you guys is the ER. Sorry, ER before.
No, you had it right. You had it right.
before this one decides to comment on my British pronunciation because I can't pronounce T's.
But that's because all the T's were left in the harbor in Boston. So I'm just saying.
You are the inbred. Will you be quiet? You are the. Well, for a start, you're on mute. Well done.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, shout out to Saul who came up with that joke.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The T's may have all been chucked into the river. But at least I don't look like an inbred child of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
You got the boss doing it now. The T is in the arbor.
Well, I can argue with you because I outrank you. Unfortunately,
okay. Well, continue on with your story before, you start, getting upset with me or something. Act like a diamond or something. I don't know.
So, yeah, about 6-7 hours in the emergency room for them to say, okay, we're going to have to put some stitches in and try and put your head back together because it was, considering it, well, this is what happens when you get basically a metal spike of a fire guard into your head. It goes in deep. It goes in deep. So I spent around 6-7 hours in the emergency room, most of which was me just sat there thinking, am I still going to be able to wrestle tomorrow night? Now, I managed to get out of there. It was about 4:30, 5 a.m. I got back. I had to be on the road by I had to leave at 10 a.m. to help set up the venue for 11. So that was fun. Everyone was like, are you all right? We've seen your social media posts. We've seen your Snapchats and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just got a little bit of a headache. No big deal. I've had my head smashed into a fire guard. Got a little bit of a headache. No big deal. So, yeah. And then I'm training. We're just doing standard moves. We're doing standard moves. And basically, I fuck up on a DDT. So instead of tucking my chin, I don't. And my head hit the mat. And next thing you know, those stitches came undone. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go again. So that was fun. And this is an hour before we finish training. We are literally just going over the card and who's working what and who's doing what and who's responsible for X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And yeah, they're like, do you want me to pull you off the card? I was like, no, we will change the spots. We will change it. Hence the reason why I am now known as a battering ram, which wasn't actually my idea and not really the best way to remember someone's technical in-ring debut apart from a Royal Rumble. Still kind of pissed that I got treated as a battering ram because I felt that I could do so much more in that ring, but it was apparently a safety issue. Unfortunately, I do not work for that company anymore, but it is what it is. But luckily, I managed to make it through without actually injuring myself any more than that little fuck up spot when I was training to do a DDT. So yeah, that was the fun story of what happens when you accidentally see someone trying to rob a mobility chair.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, is I do have a serious question. Is that why you call me hair back? Because it was just in the back of your head? No, I'm not joking. I'm asking a serious question because I know there's got to be a scar back there.
I mean, this was 2022. We're now in 2024, so it's been around 28 months. The scar has probably died down a lot. But yeah, it's not like I get any flashbacks or anything like that. That's one of the lucky things. But no, in terms of combing the hair, it's just one of these things that I do purely because at some points my hair gets really long,
Mhm.
and it's got into the way of my training just by the way that it's hung down below my eyes, and it's stopped me from like having 100% vision. So I'm like, okay, we stick a shit ton of hair gel in, we comb it back, and it's manageable.
Okay, well, that's why I was saying. I was like, I shouldn't pick on you because some people who have scars, I've seen it before in the business. If they have a scar like visible somewhere on their head and they want to hide it, they just slick their hair back and it hides it. I didn't know if that was the reason why or what. I don't know why I never asked you that question before. But
So
before,
if I had a physical scar, I
Mhm.
wouldn't even bother covering up. I'd just be like, yeah, you can see a scar. And what? Do something.
You sure you don't have Irish in you?
No, and I don't want to have an Irishman in me either.
Oh, okay, that's not what I meant. All right. You know what, Connor? It's been fun, but one last question for you, mate. What's something that you want to oh God, hang on just a second. Oh, Flynn Hendricks, man. Okay, Christopher here. He's a fellow Irishman. His cousin Kelly ain't so bad. Oh, mate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Any comment to that, Connor?
I've never met your sister, Kelly, so I'm not going to comment.
Oh, hardy har. Okay. Hey, Joe, what's going on? Joe Panther the Third is in the house from the Joe Panther Variety Show. How you doing, buddy? But what do you want? Kind of like Conner Clarkson's legacy to be, and what do you want your future to be, whether it be professional wrestling or in podcasting now?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I said this on the promo that I released earlier for this morning or tonight's episode for you Americans. I am not here to just turn up, wrestle, and leave. I'm not here to make a statement. I'm not here to leave a legacy, although I guarantee I will leave one. I'm here to turn up, take over, put asses in seats, and shut bitches' mouths. That is literally all I do.
All right. Well, folks, I can't believe I'm saying this. This has been Conner Clarkson. He has been wonderful.
Okay.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who may not know, my name is Austin Diamond. You see, I am the apex of excellence, the reflection of perfection. I am the guru of greatness and the shaman of superiority. And it pays to know a guy that knows a guy. Now, Connor, I hate to interrupt, I really do, but I hope that you understand from one man to another. You were just talking about shutting the mouths of certain people who we may not be fond of. And you see, when it comes to making a point, it gets no realer than Austin Diamond. You know, I am the king of consequence inducing. I am the prince of perpetual pain, pleasure, and alliteration. I am everything that Joe has ever aspired to be, and then some. You know, I couldn't help but notice talk of a legacy, talk about perception, talk of the future, and I am the future. You see, I am wrestling royalty. I am Austin Diamond. Now, Connor, again, I offer you nothing but the most sincere apology. Again, I understand that it may not be my place, but you can't climb a mountain alongside other men without stepping on fingers, and I hope that you understand that.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Diamond.
Now, you, my friend, I have nothing but the utmost respect for. So with that being said, Mayhem Media, you know, I will say I'm very fond of the platform. You know, Mayhem Media is an excellent company. It really is. It's a shame that the head of this snake is little more than some scumbag up in Philadelphia. Now, JD, you better sit down and shut your mouth before I come up there and roll you away from your computer and put your brakes on, cowboy. Now then, Conner Clarkson, my dear friend and brother. allow me to compensate for Joe's shortcomings. How are you doing today, my brother?
I am very well. Even
I'm
better
glad to hear
that
it.
I finally get an interview by someone who actually has a set of bollocks.
Absolutely. And, as a wrestler yourself, I'm sure you would much rather speak to another guy in the business, another wrestler, another Spartan, another man who is brave enough to step in the ring. Am I right?
Exactly.
I'm so happy that I could be here to reel in the slack that Joe Schmo so generously left for me. And I will say I appreciate the fact that Joe is what he is, because if he wasn't, there would be no room for somebody like me to come in and take over. Oh, what a clow. Nice going, Joe Panther. Spelling is great. I can see that's your strong suit. Shocking. The dirty, incestuous ignoramus can't spell. Now then, now that I've got some people in here gathered around listening to what a real man has to say, I'm here to tell you, Austin Diamond cares not what you think. I've seen the things that make you cheer. I don't want your approval. I don't need your applause. Austin Diamond relies on one thing and one thing only, and you're looking at it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've already said it. I am the reflection of perfection. I am everything that you could ever aspire to be, and then some. I am undefeated. In the last 2 years, not one time have I been bested by any other man. And, I'd say I've been bested by a woman, but I've seen what these women have to offer, and no thank you. You see, these dirty, nasty, stinky females, they don't impress Austin Diamond, especially, what's her name? Libby, is it? It'd be great if she'd stop calling me. She thinks because she allegedly graduated college, she finally got a piece of paper with her name on it. Yeah, I'm calling BS on that. She can't spell her name, so I know that's not true. Now, with that being said, I hope that she stops calling me, because I've heard everything I want to hear out of her and her old man. Now, Connor, I know you are a man who understands what it's like to deal with the ladies. I see that slick back hair, brother. You see, I've got the hat on because I am made of money. My money flows like wine, brother, but I can't afford the jail that you go through in a day. So please, Connor, tell me what it's like having to fight through a sea of women on a daily basis.
We just ignore them. If we want them, we get them. If we don't want them, we ignore them, we push past them, we move on, and we do what we need to do. You are going to shut Joe's mouth, and I will quite happily do something the same for the podcasting boss, JD.
Now, Connor, my dear friend and brother, a lot of people, they see that I carry this kendo stick to the ring. A lot of people know that before that I carried a crutch, but not everybody knows why. Well, I'm going to give a little insight right here on the Joe Monroe Show. Hopefully now he can get some viewers that he won't have to pay for, am I right? But anyways, the story there goes as follows. I've got a torn meniscus and a torn MCL in my right knee. The meniscus in the last 2 years, it's gotten better. It's healed to some degree, but that MCL, I don't think that's ever going to heal. That's something I've just got to live with. But that's just the risk that comes with having to fight through a sea of women on a day-to-day basis. That's the risk you take when you roll out of bed and you look this good. Now, Libby, no, ma'am, you cannot get in my back seat. All right, I paid good money for that car, and I will not have you tarnish it. Now then, as I was saying, sorry, brother, if I slide down on my screen and I type it out, it'll mess up the stream. So now
Yeah,
then,
all good, brother. Yeah, all good.
I figure if I just address her here where everybody can hear it, maybe she'll get embarrassed and she'll stop calling, brother. I've had my phone on D&D for the last 6 months. Brother, surely at some point she's got to take a hint. I know she can't read, let alone read the room, but maybe, just maybe, public humiliation. Well, okay, I guess I'm into being humiliated. After all, she leaves the house with Joe Monroe. Oh, dear, that's a good one. Honey, I don't care about you or your degradation kink. Okay, sit down and shut your mouth. Okay, look, does it look like I'm in the kitchen? Why are you so fascinated by me? Honey, we've been over this. You've got 2 jobs and you failed them both. You haven't made me a sandwich. You haven't made any good-looking kids. What are you good for? Stop wasting all those good sandwiches on Joe. All right, that cat needs to worry less about me and more about his cholesterol level, because I'm here to tell you, if it gets any higher, Daddy, he ain't gonna have to worry about Austin Diamond no more. Now then, Conner Clarkson, my dear friend and brother, you are the meanest man that England has to offer. Quite honestly, you are England's greatest export. So when am I going to see you cross the water and come over here where we spell things without those extra vowels, where we use the good measuring system? When am I going to see you, Conner?
We shall soon see. First, I've got to be in touch with one of your team that's actually going to pay for my flight over to Kentucky, because there are a lot more places that I would rather be than in front of, 25, 30 people who don't know their left bollock from their asshole.
There you go. I see you're familiar with America. It's a
Yes.
shame. The literacy
Very
rates here are at an all-time low, and it's because of people like Joe Monroe and his sleazy old lady who graduated. Okay, sure. Look, you can't fool me. She can't even buy an education. All right, I'm no fool. But at any rate, if people like that weren't out here procreating, I think we'd be a little better off. But who am I to judge, right? Now, Conner Clarkson. Oh, wow. Honey, how many times do I have to tell you I'm not interested? Oh, Austin Diamond is a real class act. That's exactly right. Now, brother, you better shut your mouth before I chalk your wheels. Now, Conner Clarkson, my dear friend and brother, I understand that you're interested. As you may know, the Kentucky Derby was today, which, if you were not aware, I know, maybe across the pond, it may not be as big a deal. That's where all the money lives, brother. That's where folks like me go to set up camp and farm in our new harvest, if you know what I mean. So,
exactly.
You think by this time next year you'll be in to make the show, or what?
Yeah, I don't see why not. And I know I've already had a few phone calls with you, but I will say this live on stream. The second I make it into the States, you better have your calendar available. Whether it's me and you on a one-on-one match, whether it's us as a tag team against Joe Monroe and one of his little hippies, let's say, or one of his little yes men, the one that, because Joe likes to think a shepherd, and
Right.
he has this sea of sheep following him. But on the contrary, it's quite the opposite, because he is the sheep following the shepherd. He's the little man following the big man, where he likes to pretend it's the opposite.
Absolutely.
So I hope that at some point in the near future, you can do the world of professional wrestling a favor and shut his mouth once and for all.
Now, Conner, if you weren't aware, you see, this all started about, oh, dear God, we're pushing a year now. This has been drug out for far too long. You see, August 13th, Joe Monroe got his panties in a wad and he came to see me. You see, I was doing a real podcast, not the Joe Monroe show. Oh, no. Something worth attending, you see. And he got his feelings hurt because Austin Diamond had insinuated that he was a nobody, which I think that stands true on account of after that night, he hung up his boots and he laid in his basement crying for eons. And, I can't help but notice he hasn't been seen in a ring ever since. Coincidence? I think not.
I think it's just reality giving him a nice little chair shot to the head, let's say.
I can only hope to be as pathetic as Joe Monroe one day.
I mean, this is a man that wrestled in a junkyard match instead of in a professional ring.
Well, brother, he couldn't afford
all you need. That says all you need to know on that matter, because let's be honest, why would you wrestle in a dirty junkyard with no one in attendance and people only viewing it on a camera when you can do it in the squared circle in front of paying marks?
Well, you see, actually, you make a good point, and I think now, in retrospect, I might understand his frustration, because you do bring up a good point. That match was actually filmed in his neighborhood. You see, they can't afford a cul-de-sac, but that's as close as they've got. So I think now I hate to say it, but I might regret saying some of the things that I said. Because you see, I told Joe that if he didn't shut his mouth, I would come take the blocks out from under his house and let it roll down the hill. So Joe, for that, I do apologize because that was uncalled for. Marcus, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Now, Joe Monroe, while I do apologize for that, I think you and I need to get a mutual understanding of sorts because it's more than apparent that there's no mutual respect to be had here. And, well, why would there be? I don't respect you. You see, I respect a man with heart, a man with courage, a man with something between his legs. And, Joe, we all know that's something that you lack. If you didn't, your old lady wouldn't be calling me. Now then, Joe Monroe, business just picked up because Austin Diamond is here. And, I can't help but notice the interactions are at an all-time high. The viewers are at an all-time high, but that's what Austin Diamond does. You see, the last time Austin Diamond and Joe Monroe shared a podcast, Joe Monroe cleared 1 million views for the first and only time. Thank me very much. Now, I've said some unscrupulous things to Joe. I really have. Some terrible things, man. Some things that a lot of people took issue with. Conner, I don't know if you've gotten around to it, but if you get a chance, I beg of you, study some of my work. I'm a professional, not like Joe. I'm somebody who gets paid for what I do, you see. And sometimes I find that if you can, how do you phrase this? If you can make a good example, everybody kind of gathers around to watch. And I've found that when I'm dealing with an opponent, with an enemy, with opposition, if I can make fun of them and get in their head, if I can imitate them, then it sets them off because they feel inferior. And when they see themselves coming out of somebody else, they see all of their own flaws. So that's exactly what I try to do. I try and imitate the people that I have disagreements with. I try and make fun of them by any means possible. I try and recreate the very things that they do. And with that, who's the chump? Look in the mirror, buddy. Now then, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I try and recreate the people that I have disagreements with. And it's funny because you see, in the midst of recreating a steaming hot Joe Monroe, it smelled so bad I had to leave it in the toilet. Now, thank you, Conner. I appreciate that. I really do. Joe Monroe, all jokes aside, you tried and tried and tried to high road me, and I don't appreciate that because you see, even at my age, you may just be my senior, but you look up to me, not the other way around. You see, I am the one with a career. Let's just be real here. Joe, have you ever seen yourself on the big screen? Not the mirror you have to look over, when you're standing down there trying to shave up for your boyfriend. No. Have you ever seen yourself on the big screen, Joe? Of course not. Austin Diamond was a movie star years ago. You can still catch me on Amazon Prime. I was at the Bluegrass Theater. Oh, I see a man in the mirror. Let's not just be generous here. Alrighty then, sit down, buddy. I'd hate to have to come down there and cut off your child support. Now then, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, Austin Diamond is a star. Austin Diamond is God. When you pray every night, you need to say 10 Hail Diamonds, so I have forgiveness. With that being said, Joe, may God have mercy on you because I don't plan to. Now then, Joe Monroe, let's get serious for just a second here. Just a second. I think I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I don't like you, Joe. And the fact that you tried to ignore me, the fact that you tried to downplay me, that just doesn't sit right with me because you see, you started all of this. Had Joe not come to that podcast that I did almost a year ago now, we would have never had this problem. But he got on there and he tried to make it about himself. And when he got shut down, it hurt his pride because you see, he's used to dealing with illiterate buffoons who can't stand up for themselves. He's, what did he call himself? The knockout king? Brother, you're 5'6", and I say brother very loosely, but standing at a whopping stature of 5 foot nothing and 240 pounds of melted butter, cholesterol, and cheeseburgers, I'm here to say, you do not intimidate me, Joe. Maybe, just maybe, you're a daunting bully down south. But let me tell you, brother, you're in my world. And, I can't help but notice that he has stayed as far away from the ring as possible ever since. I humbled him that day. I showed him a dose of reality that he could never in a million years forget about. And it was my pleasure. It was my privilege. Little more in this world makes me happy, quite like knowing that I scared Joe Monroe out of the business. And maybe, just maybe, I'll venture into your world, Joe. Maybe I'll come on to Mayhem Media. Maybe I'll bring back the Diamond Exchange and show you what it's like to have talent, to have draw power, to have star power, to have Austin Diamond, to have women throwing themselves at you in the dozens, in flocks, in droves. Maybe I'll show you what it's like to be a professional. How does that sound, Joe? Let's just be real here. Austin Diamond, I don't have to pay for things to put on my wall. He surrounds himself with dolls of half-naked men so that he can feel special. Brother, I've got my 8x10s on the wall. I've got plaques with my name on it on the wall. I've got pictures of stars. Oh, and by stars, I do mean me. I've got mirrors in my room so I can see greatness. You, my friend, you must own stock in Mattel because at the end of the day, when the lights go out and all is said and done, you will be stuck looking in the mirror, seeing an embarrassment, seeing a steaming hot pile of Joe Monroe. And that's worse than anything I could ever do to you. I can black your eye, I can bust your lip, but there is nothing that I can do that is worse than what God has already done to you, Joe. Take that up with him because that's not my fault, brother. Now then, let's talk about what is my fault. It has come to my attention recently that I couldn't post on Facebook for a few days. And I don't know why that is, because I think, and I'm sure you'll agree, Connor, I'm a very likable young man. I am an absolute consummate professional. I've never said anything out of the way to anybody. Oh, the number for an exterminator? Sorry, honey. Those bugs in Joe's beard are there for good. Now then. Oh, you think she was talking about those crabs? Honey, I can't solve that either. But at any rate, as I was saying, Joe, I will scare you out of this business too. Now, Connor, do you have anything else that you'd like to address here? These nincompoops, I can't lie to you, they're messing up my train of thought just a little bit.
I mean, quite frankly, I think we've spent way too much time giving Joe way too much attention, more than what he definitely deserves. It will all be answered in the ring, we hope, soon.
That's a good one, Connor, because you know just as well as I do, Joe's not going to step in the ring with me. He's already proven that. It's taken him months and months and months just to have the courage built up in him to sit here talking to a camera, man. Austin Diamond, you're picking on me, man. I can't take it. You scared me out of the business, man. Scott, you better make this right. Your kid's a big bad bully, man. Now, Joe, come on, man. How are you in your mid-20s sitting here crying into your camera, looking at yourself pathetic, as red as the roses on my shirt, talking about how you're getting picked on? Brother, that's the nature of the beast. You see, I get paid to hurt feelings. I get paid to beat people up. I get paid to be a bad, bad man. And, for a guy who called himself the Knockout King, brother, what are you knocking out? You're the only guy I know that can win at an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's not to be confused with a you stay all day. Joe, brother, go home. Come on, man. I know you don't touch grass. You lay up in that basement, sipping your melted butter, throwing back some wrestling figures with your dirty cheese ball having fingers. Brother, you got Polish sausages for fingers. Come on now. That's disgusting, Joe. Maybe pick up a dumbbell. Maybe one day you'll be big and strong like me, huh? But probably not. Let's be real here. But, we'll gas them up just a little bit. Drink your milk, take your vitamins, and one day you too can be a man like Austin Diamond. I really feel for that guy. Sometimes I really do feel like I am maybe just picking on him a little too much. He's got it hard enough. If I looked like him, I'd have to down a fifth every morning just to roll out of bed and look in the mirror. That's a tough world. There's nothing I can do that's worse than that. There is nothing I can do that's worse than that, Connor. That feels a little defeating because I know that I can't contend with what the universe has already given to him. You know, he's got those dirty, snot-nosed, booger-eating kids. He's got an ugly wife. He's got a room full of toys where, you know, his trophies should be. Brother, that's a terrible life to live. I'd be mad too if I was him. I can't blame him for having all of this pinned up hostility, but I don't deserve it. And, you know, he sat in that very room, sobbing, you know, just crying, begging for mercy. You know, he's pleading for my father to come in and save the day. Brother, why would you want him on this? That's just going to make it worse. Right now, this is more of a, you know, a playground debacle of sorts. Because you see, I guess I really am picking on you now. But if OG gets in on this, if Scott Diamond gets in on this, Joe, we really are going to come down there, and maybe I'll drag your son up out of the house. Maybe I'll whip your dog with a switch. Maybe, just maybe, I will take the blocks out from under your house and let it roll down the hill. Maybe, just maybe, I'll go in your kitchen with your frozen beef, and I'll teach your wife how to make a real sandwich. How would that make you feel, Joe? I mean, hell, Connor, you may not know this one either, but I went as far as to print out some 4x6s for Joe Monroe. I know, you know, he can't afford it. You know, nobody's going to pay him back for it. Nobody would buy that. But I did. I went out and I bought some 4x6s. And, brother, it was pathetic. He was talking to all of his fans, and it was just an empty room. That's depressing, brother. No wonder he's so mad.
We literally cannot hear you, brother. I
How about
believe
now? Are
you.
we back? Are we back?
Yep, we are back.
Brother, we're glitching in and out. Oh, God. So we're okay. Hang on. We're glitching in and out. This may not last long. The point that I'm making here, Joe Monroe sucks. Joe Monroe is a yellow-bellied dog. Brother, look, it's glitching in and out. I don't know how long it's going to last. Joe Monroe couldn't lace my... I said that...
Would you like me to finish this part for you? Right, so, because I'm pretty sure that the one and only Conner Clarkson and the head of HR for Mayhem Media will never get muted in his life. The guru of greatness, the superior to the inferior, the reflection of absolute perfection, said that Joe Monroe couldn't lace his dad.
Joe, I don't know if this is you. JD, I don't know.
Oh, we're back. I've managed to get the mic unmuted. Oh, he's gone. We apologise for the unfortunate technical issue because we was all enjoying Austin Diamond. Hopefully, he will join back soon. Yes, exactly, Austin. Joe Monroe cannot lace your boots. And we would like to just shout out the Diamond Cartel for proving a point that there is nothing Joe Monroe can do that Austin Diamond and the Diamond Cartel cannot.